Cam Talbot was activated today. Maybe just a thought on what his return means to your group, whether or not you noticed a bit of a pick-me-up with the realization that he's closing in on a potential return given the leadership he provides for you.
Well, activating him obviously leads us to believe that he's ready to go, and it shows his teammates he's ready to go. We have him scheduled to play tomorrow in Minneapolis, and I think the group's excited about it. You know, we can't disrespect the job that LB did as well, though. He came in and he played some pretty darn good games. There were the odd goal that he'd like to have back, but that was his first foray into really stringing a bunch of games together. And, you know, but your starter is your starter, and anytime you can get him back, the group's excited.
Todd, the last 4 games, obviously the results haven't been even because there's a lot of goals a couple times and a couple of shutouts. But how would you describe the attitude and the reaction of the team to the results? Have they been able to stay fairly even through?
Well, you know, the evaluation part of it isn't just about the goals that you score or don't score. It's how you're playing the game, the pace that you play at, the detail and responsibility, the readiness, and a lot of those things are in a better spot now than they were 3 weeks ago. And we talked about that a bit last night. Now, with that being said, you've got to win more than you lose, and we're at a 50-50 rate like we've been all year. So that becomes a little bit concerning because you want to keep the guys with a positive mindset, but the reward's going to have to be there. And tomorrow will be a big game for us. We have to build on the way we're playing. We have to tighten a few things up defensively. We can't go to the penalty box carelessly. And, you know, if we can push those areas a little bit better, we'll give ourselves a chance to have some success.
Todd, I know you're one who doesn't believe in just looking at small sample sizes. It can change so quickly, but it's now been 100 games and your penalty kills being at 76%. What has to change? Because that's a pretty significant amount of games.
Well, we can look at it a couple different ways. We could change the personnel. Although I think the personnel that we're using right now is equipped to penalty kill. We have some other bigger bodies that maybe aren't as quick and they're not penalty killers. They've never penalty killed in their careers. So the players we select to penalty kill are the ones that are going to continue on. Then there's adjustments systematically, which we have been making, and we have seen improvements in the numbers. Last night, you know, once again, and we wouldn't even be talking about this if our numbers were, if it started with an 8. I wouldn't have to explain, but you look at the lost stick that Nuge has, that creates a disadvantage for us, and then the puck bounces a couple times to a player that's open. We would take that on our power play. We gave that up. There's not much we can do in that situation. 5-on-3, we can do a better job there. I thought we got spread out, and we put our goaltender in a bad situation. So those are areas to improve on. And but that number, you know, I can beat at it, or we can talk about it. You can ask me, you know, from now till into the new year. For us to get to the 8s is going to be time-consuming. It's going to take a while. We got to put a big string together just to get to the 80 mark. Never mind to get to the league average. So that's a reflection on how poor we've been in that area and how much work we have to do.
You're not going to change the way you play based on who you have in net, but just on a subconscious level, having Talbot back, does that impact the team in some way?
I think it can. You know, proof will be in the pudding, I guess, but I think it can. You get your starting goaltender, your guy that you go to all the time, coming back in, and that's no different than in, you know, when Sekera or Larson come back, guys will feel good because they're veteran players that have done it before. Connor going out of the lineup, or Nuge, or Leon, when they come back in, you feel better about your chances. And, you know, again, in saying that, I don't want to downgrade Bressois and you know, his work that he came in and did. But your starter's your starter, and you feel good when he's back in there.
He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. Do you have to temper the expectations somewhat, or, I mean, you need him to hit the ground running?
Well, he's fresh. He has been able to practice, not a complete practice, so there is some concern there. But at some point, he's going to have to play his first game. So the sooner the better. Let's get playing, and Talbot is very well prepared as a goaltender. He takes his craft seriously. He'll be fine, and we need to give him some run support as well as some defensive support.
Todd, this one might be a tough one, but what's your stance on luck? Having been around for so long, like, does it seem that some years you get bounces and maybe sometimes you don't? And do you put a factor of that sometimes luck can go against you and sometimes can go for you? Do you notice that significantly?
You know, my belief is when you're using that word, usually you're on the wrong side of luck. When you're on the right side of it, it doesn't come up very often. I'm not an overly big believer in luck. I think the puck will bounce a certain way sometimes, and it'll go your way, and it'll go the other way. I think that calls even out over time. Last night I disagreed with the high stick call, but at some point we'll probably get one that goes our way. If we're hanging our hat on luck and puck luck and the hockey gods and whatever else is out there in the fantasy world, I don't think that's a valuable thing for us. Prepare, be ready to play, get your job done individually, and then get it done collectively. And odds are it'll go your way more often than not. And you know, sometimes it doesn't. We've seen that over a couple games now. But if we continue to do what we're doing, I think it will go our way.